How's Brock Purdy feeling?
Good. He's done more this week than he's been doing, and he's had a couple good days, and we got to see how these next 48 hours goes. But he's had one of his better weeks, and in terms of coming back from the injury, and we're hoping for the best.
All his practices aggressive?
I don't know what that means. He's had good practices. He just looks more confident, and that's been the goal. So if we can kind of get through these few days and him progressing, we hope it stays in that direction.
How does his arm strength and lower body mechanics look compared to the way it looked this summer?
I wouldn't say I noticed a difference. I think that's the goal, is that it needs to look the same. He needs to be just as confident as he was in training camp, as he was in week one. And I feel like if we saw something that concerned us, we wouldn't be going this direction. So I would say it looks the same to me.
Kyle said yesterday that he could kind of feel that Brock was back up to normal speed. Did you also get that same sense that you could feel that he was just the way the ball was coming out?
Yeah, I think Brock looks good. I agree with that. I think he's had some good practices, and again, that's been our goal. Is to we don't want to put him back on the field unless we feel confident that he can be his normal self. So.
Did the rain complicate things today?
Initially, it was bad. It was coming down, but our guys, didn't really care and ended up kind of stopping there in the middle of practice. So we had a good day. Yeah.
About Ricky Pearsall, what have you seen from him this week?
Yeah, he looks good. He's been getting, limited reps, just kind of easing him back in, but he's looked good. I think Ricky's, his mind is he wants to play, but we got to get through this week kind of like Brock and just get through it healthy and just get him back into it. But we're happy with where he's at.
Is he a full go, or would you say he might be on a snap count this week?
We'll see. I think it's too early to tell from that regard. I think he's a guy who, when he's on the field, is going to want to stay in there if he can go. But we got to be careful with him. We got to be smart, and we'll see how it goes.
I was saying that Brian Robinson's had his best game 4 weeks in a row, basically. What have you seen from him in terms of just more comfort level with the offense, or the fact that maybe he got the ball 3 or 4 times in a row to gain some rhythm? What's gone into that?
I think both of those things. The more he's out there, the longer he's here, the more comfortable he gets with our scheme and kind of how we see things in the run game. He's been able to get into a rhythm, in my opinion. I look at the New York game and last game where he's able to kind of stay out there for a drive and just get multiple runs in a row and just kind of impose his will on people. And then I think, when you look at his confidence, the things he's done for us in the kicking game, he's contributed to our team in meaningful ways, and his confidence has grown, and he's, we just hope it stays in that direction. He's doing a good job.
Even that Brock Purdy looked ready before week one, but ultimately wasn't. When you're watching him on the practice field this week and you think he looks ready, is that in the back of your mind that?
It's a fair question, but no, not really. I think you learn from those instances. You kind of learn more about Brock. He learns more about himself and how his body reacts to things. I think any player is going to want to go. Any player is going to want to push through things, but then you learn through the experiences, okay, what can I really push through? What maybe was wrong then that needs to feel better this time around? So I think it's just a learning experience for everyone.
What did Seattle do in the run game last week to Arizona, and is there a way you guys can replicate what they did?
Yeah, they did a heck of a job. I think they had, I don't remember how many carries it was, but just, they got out to a big lead in that game and really early. I think it was 35-0 in the second quarter. So they were able to commit to the run game really the whole second half of the game. They blocked them well. They had a good scheme. Their backs do a good job breaking tackles. They put together a nice game plan. So, yeah, there's things we look at in that game that we can hopefully try to take advantage of. But, we got to do what we do. We got to execute. We got to be better than we were last week and hopefully, have some good run game.
Christian's ability to be flexed or put in motion or basically whatever you want to do with him, why is it problematic, it seems, or is it a problem that you don't get him and Robinson on the field at the same time?
Why is it problematic that we don't? What you're asking?
Or why don't you?
We've done it a little bit here and there, but we could. It's definitely something that we talk about and that we do have in. It's not like something we're opposed to at all. But it just hasn't. I think the way games have gone, we just haven't gone that direction. So, but it's definitely something we do talk about and we have in from week to week.
I think Kyle referred a little bit to. I'm not sure he even understood it all, but the use of a fullback, the use of extra tight ends, all that stuff kind of contributes to
Yeah, and some teams, it depends on how teams are playing you. Like some teams might treat that just as Christian as another receiver, and is that something you want? Is that how you want the defense to look at you? It just depends week to week, But when we put a fullback out there, we really kind of feel like we know what we're going to get from the defense. So some of that's part of it. There's different, it's just not something we do a lot, but if we started doing it more, you probably get a feel for how teams want to play you. But, it's just kind of something week to week we look at.
Is that a big factor in choosing personnel groupings, your ability to anticipate the coverage you're going to get when you use it?
It's part of it. I think defenses get better and better all the time about not letting you get a beat on that. I think that's what most good defenses do now in this league is you don't know what they're going to be in, and so but you try to, especially as games go on. How are they playing us in these personnel groups? Are we getting a feel for what they're doing? You try to anticipate as best you can. I mean, that's how you game plan people. But like I said, that's the NFL, and defensive coordinators are really good at saying, hey, we've done this before. We're going to change it up. We're not going to let them get a beat on us. So it's part of the challenge every week.
Does Arizona's defense look any different to you now that they've added Walter Nolan up front?
No, not schematically. They look better. I mean, he's a really dynamic interior player, but they look like the defense they've been all year, which in my opinion is a very good defense. They've had some really tough losses in terms of one possession games that they've been in throughout the year. It's a really good team, and they're going to play hard. They're physical, and it's just going to be a challenge. And he only adds to that because he's a really talented player, and so yeah.
We watched the film last week. What do you see from the offensive line? Have you seen some growth there?
Yeah, I thought in protection we did a good job. We dropped back a lot, and I don't know if we had any sacks, maybe one sack. So we thought we held up pretty good in protection. I thought there were instances in the game where we were running the ball well, but just the way the game went, we weren't able to kind of commit to the run for 4 quarters. I thought the guys played well. There's things we got to clean up, like always, but I think that group is growing and cohering, and hopefully we get some consistency with the same guys out there week to week. So.
The Mac Jones era is over with the 49ers. How gratifying was it to watch him sort of put his career back together?
I don't look at it that way at all. Mac's a member of our team. Right now he's our backup. Mac's going to be ready when his number's called again. How gratifying was it that he played well? Because he deserved it and he earned it, and he had a great offseason. He's a great teammate, and when he gets his op again, he's going to be ready. So that's how I look at it.
Most dangerous once the ball gets in his hands, kind of like Jordan.
Yeah, he can run routes like a receiver. He blocks like a tight end. He's after the catch, he's violent. He's hard to bring down. He's, like I said, he's a total package. He's gotten better and better every year he's been in the league, and he's a fun player to watch.
Robert, which back do you think you're going to get this week, and how do they look different from one another?
I'm not sure, but both of them, I have experience with Michael. It's a good group of backs, all of them. They've all got different skill sets. They're unique in that regard, and they're all very talented. And but whichever one comes along is who we're going to have to defend. But I can give you a long dissertation on each one, but we'll save that one for another day.
How does their offense change with Jacoby versus we saw with Kyler? Kyler seems like more under center stuff. What other things have you?
They're obviously the zone read's not there, even though Jacoby is capable of keeping it and taking it. As I stand here, they're probably going to run one just to run one maybe, but no, he's Jacoby's still capable of doing everything that Kyler does. But for the most part, it's very close to the same.
The Rams had some success with 3 tight end formations. It's a copycat league. You're going to see it again, maybe this week from the Cardinals. What's difficult about matching up with that personnel grouping from a alignment, assignment, technique perspective? If
you have 3 tight ends who can, like in the Rams case, they've got 3 guys who are capable of both being effective in the run game and pass game. It becomes a personnel thing. You try to go small, they get big. You try to go big, they get small. They create 11 personnel formations. And you're just able to create more mismatches, from a personnel standpoint. I feel like the Rams, as they've gone throughout the year, 13 personnel hadn't been something they've done, and over the last 3 weeks, it's just getting bigger and bigger for them. I thought they did a really nice job with it.
What's the response been like this week from the defense in terms of practice and everything based on, what happened against the Rams? I mean, sure, it was a tough film to watch on Monday.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a young group, and they're eager to learn. They want to fix mistakes. I thought practice today was outstanding. So they're in a good spot. obviously everyone has a bad taste in their mouth. Anytime you get 40 dropped on you, it's not fun. But we got a good group of guys. They've played really good football before, and we've had good games as a group. We've had bad games as a group, and we've just got to find that consistency as the year as we continue to go through the year.
This is sort of a Christian McCaffrey question, but you look around the league, there's a lot of guys, running backs now who are 3-down backs who do so as much in the pass game. What is that challenge as a defensive coordinator trying to prepare? Because I assume you can throw as many resources into stopping the run, but that guy could still find a way to beat you. What is that like?
It is a challenge, especially if there's compliments around them. You know, you can only a guy like Christian who is an unbelievable running back, but then he's also a really good receiver. So who do you dedicate to him? You know, so a lot of times you're having to dedicate a linebacker to him. And I said it a long time ago that it's starting to catch up a little bit, but I felt like the evolution of the running back far outpaced the evolution of the linebacker, where a lot of linebackers were, you know, up until I feel like 2019 in the 20s, the linebackers were still big, old school run thumpers, and here you had guys like Christian McCaffrey running around just creating mismatches. And so now you've got to get a linebacker that's capable, but then that's now how are you going to defend a run? So there's balance. They create all kinds of problems, and they're showing up more and more throughout the league.
Are you seeing those guys running more routes than just the old Texas and option routes and things like that?
You look at Christian; he's got the full repertoire of routes. Studied Jahmyr Gibbs, same thing. You know, the really special ones, they can run them all.
The touchdown to Devontae last week, what's supposed to happen from your perspective defensively?
It caught us in goal line defense. Won't get into too specifics with the schematic part of it, but it's kind of shitty.
Farrell and Keon White and acclimating to Chris Kubiak and what you guys want.
I think he's doing a nice job. You know, he definitely has something to him. Really excited about him and getting his feet underneath him in our system. You know, we're asking him to do things that we feel like he can do, and I think he agrees with some of the things we're asking. But I think it's just a matter of him getting used to our calls, our words, our techniques, playing with you know, your line games with your teammates and working off one another. So there's time on task there, but I think he's doing a really nice job.
Robert, you know, it's always a challenge for the DBs when there's not a lot of rush. How do you keep these guys from fracturing, pointing the finger? Just how do you keep them together through the pressure kind of mounting a little bit?
I don't think that'll be an issue. You know, the challenge is always for the D-line to get them in a hitch, and it's always the job of the back end to see if you can get an extra hitch from the quarterback. So we're rushing coverage. We play off one another. We feed off one another, and I'd be shocked if that ever happened here.
As far as the pass rush goes,
closer and closer to a return now, but in previous weeks, were there times when he would help out the defense as a scout QB? If so, what was it like having?
Who are you referring to?
Brock Purdy.
Brock? It was fun having him out there. It's amazing, all these really good quarterbacks like Mac now, even when Brock, they're no-look passing and they're trying some stuff, which is what you're supposed to do as a scout team quarterback, and I'm like, can you guys chill on that? Because we got a young group. But it's great when you have those guys. I mean, even Adrian does a really nice job back there, you know, from a mobility standpoint. But these quarterbacks are all, you know, especially when they're veteran-like, they're working on their craft and they can get guys to run routes exactly the way we need them run. So they're very beneficial.
pass rush goes, given the injuries you've suffered so far this year, do you look at that as something you're going to have to scheme up for the most part this year?
Yeah, you know, I think Kubiak does a really nice job working from a schematic standpoint. You know, we always have our pressure system and trying to find a way to create free runners and all that, and trying to create edges where where we're leveraged the proper way. But you know, at the end of the day, you got to win your one-on-one, and I do think we have guys who are capable. I think Huff is still one of the better ones in football. I think Sam's proven to be pretty damn good. I think Alfred getting back in there is going to help. Kalia's finally got that cast off him so he can be more effective. So it's a work in progress because there's been a lot of moving parts and there is continuity that comes into play with that group. But I'm not too worried. The main focus is for us to get better and better and better, so we're peaking when we hit January, and especially with this young group. And like I've told you guys, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. Last week was down, obviously, but hopefully we can get back on the horse.
Tatum Bethune told us yesterday that Fred Warner is giving them a little space to kind of learn on their own instead of being in there saying, okay, this is what you guys need to do. Where have you seen that learning curve on correcting their mistakes?
There's always going to be, there's so much learning, and it's fun. I was, talking to the staff about it, and I was recalling, like Wednesday with a young group is a little rougher than, because it's a new game plan, right? And I told Tatum yesterday, I said, if Fred tells you that his Wednesdays were awesome in his first couple of years, he's lying. It's just there is a learning curve there, but you trust because of how hard they work and how important it is to them. You trust that by Sunday they'll hit the ground running. And again, that's on me too. Just finding that balance of what they are. We're all learning one another, and I mean, I'm actually having a ton of fun doing it. There's frustrating moments for sure, but there's a lot of fun because coaches are learning players, players learning coaches, and we're all learning this thing together. And like I said, we're going to get better every single week. I'm confident in that, and the main goal is to continue getting better so that way, like I said, in January, we're hitting the ground running and let's see if we can do something pretty cool.